Hi guys, this is Nick, and this is your next gaming news. I'm doing some of these a little early because I think I'm on call next week, which means my week is likely going to be busy, and I may be indisposed for a good portion of the week. But I wanted to go ahead and get some videos out for you guys, so here is one on your Sunday afternoon. Now, the first thing that I kind of got tipped off from Picky Old Gamer's site was that Neo Geo is apparently launching a brand new console. Now, I knew they had launched the Mini. They launched that a while back. It was not too well received overall as a product, and the reason for that was pretty much that it wasn't the most well constructed thing, and trying to play it on the small screen with your controller or trying to hold it and play it because it was like a little arcade stand-up thing was too difficult, and the build quality was pretty poor. So while people liked the games, particularly if you were a fighting fan, it had a lot of your fighting game favorites like World Fighters, SNK versus Capcom, the SNK Fighters, King of Fighters, all those kinds of games on there, along with I think a few Metal Slug games, but primarily a large chunk of the King of Fighters games were on there. Now they have just now announced that they're going to be doing a new console coming out this year, and that is the Neo Geo 2. Now, this is set to launch next year. Scuttlebutt's been going on about it for a little while. I've been out of the loop because I'm not always the most in the loop when it comes to new consoles until they get closer to release. I'm just not that good at sleuthing out that kind of information right now. But they posted something on Twitter saying a brand new console is coming from SNK in 2021. A system to bridge the needs between passionate fans and console gaming enthusiasts, hashtag SNK, with a picture that says who is the best player. Apparently this is going to be like a brand new console that they're doing that will also connect to their Neo Geo Mini. At least it's speculated to, and I've seen that on multiple sites, that this may potentially be able to bridge the gap between the Neo Geo Mini and this console, which may mean you might be able to wirelessly stream your Neo Geo Mini to your main Neo Geo console, or back and forth if you so choose. Why you would want to, I don't know, particularly with having that many fighting games. Any kind of delay on a fighting game can usually lead to a bad time. So I would imagine most people would want to play that on the main console. Another potential that they have stated is that there's an option that's going to be a streaming console that could easily feature more of SNK's newer catalog of fighters like King of Fighters 14 and Samurai Showdown without the need for more powerful hardware. I agree with the article that I don't think a lot of fighting game enthusiasts would be too keen on that, especially Samurai Showdown, where one move can pretty much like KO a fighter. Any kind of delay on that would be absolutely miserable, and wouldn't be a good experience, and would not be something that I would be interested in. It'll be curious to see how this develops. I'm curious to see if they're going to try to revitalize some of their other titles, like Metal Slug and things like that, and bring those back to the forefront. If they're going to just put out some of their old catalog on there, most of which is actually available on the Switch. So it's a little bit confusing right now. I am hopeful that this is going to be a more interesting product than it initially appears, and that it's going to have some new titles come out for it. Now, whether or not they're shared or not is another story. Now, people may speculate that they're going to put King of Fighters 14 specifically on this console to try to sell it. I do not think that's the case. I think that's already in agreements and slated to come out on multiple consoles and PC. So I do not think that is going to be an exclusive, and Samurai Showdown is already on pretty much all platforms. So there's really no reason to have it just for those two fighting games, as good as they are. However, if they're on there, that would be great as well, particularly if maybe one or more of them is a pack-in that could make it more attractive. But realistically, depending on what they try to do and what kind of new titles or what kind of revamped titles they try to bring out on this, and the price point is going to ultimately depend on how successful it is, much like the Atari VCS, much like the Intellivision Amico. It really depends on how well they hit their target market. The next thing that I have on my list is that the PS5 Black sale ends in utter disaster as all orders are canceled due to the staff being threatened. Super5 says it received credible threats to our safety after selling out of the custom consoles. Now, for those of you that don't know, this was a remade, tailored black version of the PS5, not the digital version. I think they did this for both versions. That was made to look more reminiscent of the PlayStation 2. There were only about 300 of them made. And after they sold out of them, apparently, between that and the continuing demand, they started getting threats to people's lives at the company. As a result, they refunded pretty much everybody and just bowed out completely. As almost within seconds, of course, these were all sold and up on eBay for double or triple the price. And people are again pissed because they want to get their hands on one. And of course, the scalpers are going to get them first. That's just how this works. So that has completely been scrubbed. I have no idea what they're going to do with these consoles because they've been made. I don't know if they're going to honor the ones that got sold to the scalpers or if they've just canceled everything and said it's not worth it and we're done. But honestly, people, death threats to somebody for selling a console that got sold out in seconds, it's not their fault that the console sold out as quickly as it did. There were 300 of them total. They were going to be scarce and vaporize anyway. Even if the scalpers hadn't got a hold of them, they were going to vaporize. Now, they might end up in somebody's home, but more than likely, the person who got it would sell it for 4 times the price and then just buy a PS5 off of eBay and still have 3 times their money. That was legit where they were all going to go. It's going to end up in some rich kid or somebody who was going to just okay being poor. That's where these were always going to end up. They weren't going to end up in like hardcore enthusiasts. Maybe one of the 300 would end up that way. Maybe. But that was it. There's no reason to do death threats on this kind of stuff. This is ridiculous. The next thing that I have for you guys is that Monster Hunter Rise apparently crashed the eShop because it was in such demand. Those of you that don't know, this is the next installment after Monster Hunter World of the Monster Hunter series. Those of you that are fans have probably been following it pretty closely, and it's exclusive to the Nintendo Switch, which has some people disappointed and some people really, really excited. I'm kind of on the fence because I do love my Switch. However, I do enjoy playing Monster Hunter World on PC. I found it very comfortable to play there, and I do really enjoy the game. So I'm quite looking forward to this, but I found this kind of amusing that the eShop couldn't even remotely keep up with the demand for people downloading this demo that came out like Friday. The last thing I have for you today is that Hitman 3 has started showing off more content from it being in virtual reality. Now, there's 2 interesting things about this. One of which is that this is only going to be available for right now in PlayStation VR. And that's both a boon to PlayStation VR and a detriment as well because the PlayStation VR is only compatible with the PlayStation 3 version of Hitman 3. So you can't use it with your PS5 version because the PSVR is only backwards compatible with like the PS4 stuff because they don't have a modern headset that they brought out for the PS5. So you're going to have a little bit lower resolution than you would with a more modern VR headset. And you're only going to be able to play the PS4 version of the game, which isn't going to have a lot of the niceties of the PS5 version. Not that you would see as much of that potentially in VR because of the way that the perspective would work. You're going to be in, obviously a first-person perspective controlling Agent 47 and have a little bit more flexibility with how you approach a given situation. One of the things is that it's going to do as well is it's going to allow you to pretty much play the entire trilogy through VR, which is another really cool thing. If you own the other 2 Hitman versions, it will incorporate that data and let you replay those missions in a virtual reality setting, and that's quite cool. Now, one of the things that kind of kills me about this the most is that they have not really considered doing a new headset. And I feel like Sony, if they really want to start stepping up at this market, and it seems like they do from the exclusives that they're getting, they really need to start focusing on coming out with a next-gen headset that's going to work with the PS5 hardware. I'm not saying break support for the original PSVR. That's still a very solid piece of tech, and it's very affordable for people right now. However, with you trying to push your brand new console, and you having versions on the PS4 and the PS5, anybody that's interested in VR, that wants to play your games is pretty much going to buy the older version of your game and not the newer version, or they may not even invest in the PS5 at all. They may just try to find a PS4 Pro that's going to be cheaper and use that to play the games. If you really want to dive in and you really want your next-gen console to really embrace this virtual reality, which it seemed like you wanted to from the way you did the PS4 Pro, since that was designed entirely upon improving the VR experience for PlayStation, it seems like you need to kind of get with the times and update your hardware so that you can use the PS5 and its games and play those in VR as well. I'm not really sure where this is at. However, I mean, the gameplay looks great. I mean, here, just take a look for yourself.
Hitman has always been about immersing yourself in a living, breathing world. A world filled to the brim with interesting characters, secrets, and opportunities. But you've never experienced it like this. It's personal, tactile, real. All this in our rich sandbox levels with unparalleled freedom of approach. Get creative. Get ambitious. And through Hitman 3, the full trilogy can be played in VR. Step onto the runway in Paris. Read the newspaper in Sapienza. Dip your toes in the Maldives. Hang out in Hokkaido. Whether you're a silent assassin or more of a tourist, there is no other VR game like this.
I know he's around here.
I mean, you can see that looks like a solid VR experience. I mean, you can place dynamite, you can tap people on the shoulder and then knock them out. You can shoot people with tranquilizer darts. You can just bonk them on the head with your gun or whatever. You can even, knock the leg out from the piano like they showed in the scene and then drag somebody away. I mean, it looks like a very well fleshed out VR experience. I would just like to see Sony move forward with their VR tech and really kind of embrace the medium if that's the direction that they want to go, rather than leave us in this, well, we've kind of got our toe in the water, but we don't really want to dive in right now kind of mentality that they seem to have right now while still managing to garner exclusives. Now, there's no way of knowing if this is going to stay exclusive to PlayStation or not. I suspect, personally, that it's going to be a timed exclusive, and hopefully it'll just be patched in to the other versions of the game, like say PC, where there are a lot more variety in VR headsets, or maybe be a $20 or $30 add-on later on down the road, which honestly would infuriate a lot of people if you paid $60 or $70 for something that the PlayStation people got for free, and then you got to pay another $30, $40 for. But I know VR enthusiasts, if you're hardcore into VR, you're probably going to pay that anyway. But anyway, that was your next gaming news for this week. If I have time, I may do another one if there's something else that comes up. But for right now, thank you for watching. This has been Nick. This has been your gaming news. And until next time, happy gaming.